and that is Hi-Fi Rush. And reflecting on this more and more, there's a big reason why I decided to do a video on this game. It may not be a genre-defining game. It's probably not the best game ever made. It might not even be a Game of the Year contender in most eyes. But it came at a time where I needed to feel some hope in Microsoft and Xbox. Because honestly, this has been the most mixed I've ever felt about a company in my entire life. With how it's being managed, from stuff like Halo, how Halo launched, to the disaster that is Redfall, my hope started to dwindle over time, and it almost felt like Microsoft was doing the same thing. When you look at past interviews with them, there's almost a bit of self-defeating attitude from them, and it sucks. And with games as great as this to come out at the start of the year, and without any real marketing behind it, and for it to still rack up to 3 million players during its life cycle, it shows that they are 100% capable of making great games like they have done for decades. And hey, maybe I'm reading too much into it. With Starfield coming out, they really have a chance to turn things around for the better. And I hope that they do, because they have the capability to do so. And games like Hi-Fi Rush prove that it is possible to make games that fans will love to this day.
You know, I'm gonna give this movie the benefit of the doubt. I don't even believe that this film, with all its batshit craziness, they did it, didn't they? No, seriously, what the fuck are you doing?
You know, a part of me actually kind of just thinks I'm cursed. Mostly because this is just what happens when I'm somewhat hopeful for this industry whatsoever. Because then we get situations like this. Hello everyone, welcome back. I was originally not going to want to make a video like this. I was going to focus more on the Expedition 33 video, but due to the most recent news, it's safe to say that I'm frustrated and furious about this entire situation. Originally, I was going to have this giant rant about this entire situation, but honestly, the more I kind of just thought about it, the more I'm just left with apathy. That's all I feel, really, just apathy. Because honestly, the more I thought about it, the more I remember that this is just business as usual. And it's only going to get worse over time. So, and you know, it's also kind of funny how I've been rather consistent with my annoyance and hatred towards certain corporations. I mean, I've given Sony their fair share of shit for the bullshit they've done before, as well as Nintendo. So I guess you could say that I haven't been consistent. You can't say that. But now it's Xbox's turn. Because what happened? Well, let's go ahead and see exactly what happened with the Three Stooges this time, because that's honestly what I call these three. Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond. They're the Three Stooges of incompetence. Dead serious. Anyways, let's just get into it. Okay, so it has been reported now that Microsoft had just went on and laid off 9,000 people. This is the second largest layoff session that they've had over the course of the last couple of years. This has impacted gaming jobs, marketing jobs, and sales jobs. Now, which of these have gotten affected? Let's have a look here. According to Hazardor Gaming's tweet, shout out to him, he compiled a good list of all the different companies and games that have been affected here. And so, first off is the mention of Rare. The Rare studio, they canceled their game Everwild, as well as massive layoffs in the studio. I'll be honest, I didn't even know that Everwild was a thing, but I do know what Rare as a company is. And honestly, it just further cements one more take that I have throughout this video that I'm going to mention later. So let's just keep going. ZeniMax Online's game was canceled. A big surprise to me was that a couple of the Call of Duty studios had been hit with layoffs, such as the Raven Software and Sledgehammer Game Studios, which kind of surprised me because I honestly thought that Infinity Ward was going to take the hit, not Sledgehammer, but whatever. Turn 10 Studios, the guys behind Forza Motorsport, got hit with layoffs. Over 50% of its staff, which honestly I wasn't surprised by this considering how much of a flop that Forza Motorsport 7 was. I think it was 7. I don't know. I don't care anyway. But the biggest one for me, and the biggest reason why I'm so frustrated with this, was that the studio initiative was shut down, as well as Perfect Dark being canceled. And the biggest reason why this frustrates me so bad out of all of them is that I actually was looking forward to this game. The little teaser, fake or not, because apparently that's considered bullshot as well. So that's grand. I was really interested in seeing what they were cooking, but the fact that they didn't even have a build at all, I'm not completely surprised that Initiative got shut down. But it's just, Microsoft just has this weird fascination with being capable of taking a golden goose that they have, and Actman has mentioned this so many different times. They always take the golden goose and just completely ruin it, and it's genuinely frustrating. Perfect Dark looked like it was going to be a game that I was rather interested in, so this frustrates me more than any of the other ones in this particular announcement. King got hit with a couple of layoffs. Some European offices at ZeniMax got hit with layoffs. High Moon Studios got hit with layoffs. There was layoffs at some of the US teams. Some marketing areas and managers were laid off. Honestly, they didn't do that good of a job if these three dumbasses were still in their jobs. The Xbox user research team has been hit with layoffs, nearly 50% of their studio. ZeniMax Online Studios president Matt Fuhrer left the studio, as well as the Banjo-Kazooie and Sea of Thieves director Greg Mayles leaves Rare. They also confirmed that Halo Studios was also affected by these layoffs, which does not make me hopeful whatsoever for Halo in the future, and that's what frustrates me too. It's I honestly cannot believe we're in this position where we constantly have to gamble away people's jobs, where we have, because they, for some reason, even though they're a multi-trillion-dollar corporation, they somehow can't keep their employees employed. Remember Satoru Iwata? Remember when the Wii U was such a failure that he took a pay cut in order to keep his employees employed? Now, whether or not if he did this because he had to or because it was just out of the kindness of his heart isn't for me to say. Some people say that he did that because it's illegal to do layoffs in Japan without exhausting other resources. But the point still stands. The fact that they were capable of doing this, but for some reason a multi-trillion-dollar corporation like Microsoft can't. And the biggest reason why this annoys me is that it's just yet another pattern of behavior from Microsoft. They, for whatever reason, are incapable of just making good decisions or making customers happy or even keeping their employees safe whatsoever. And it also just speaks to rather a big problem with the gaming industry as a whole. It just speaks for the fact that it doesn't matter if your game does really well or if your game isn't even off the ground yet. You will get kicked regardless if the CEOs feel like they can save their bottom line and keep their paychecks in line. That's what annoys me. Like, when did we, and I'm speaking this for the majority of the industry as well, it's like, when did we just become incapable of just making your developers and customers happy? Hey, Microsoft, you want to know a good way of how to make your games and company better? I'm going to quote it from a good friend of mine. Hire a guy to patrol your operations with a stick, and anytime somebody over in management mentions any sort of information about layoffs for a multi-trillion-dollar corporation, beat them with that stick. Because the shit that they say when all this was said and done is by far the most insulting and enraging part about this entire situation. Phil Spencer quoted this saying, "To position gaming for enduring success and allowing us to focus on strategic growth areas, we will end/decrease work in certain areas of the business and follow Microsoft's lead in removing layers of management to increase agility and effectiveness." I don't know about you, but I don't know if laying off entire staff, 9,000 worth, is really what would be considered increased agility and effectiveness. Yeah, sure, in some occasions it could be considered as trimming the fat, but I become a little bit less sympathetic when you're just out there while all this is going on playing Indiana Jones as you're firing people from your company. Yeah, I'm sure that's gonna make plenty of people believe in what you have to say. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, are we seriously this devoid of any sort of just morals or good ethics that we're capable of doing shit like this? And this leads to my extra point, and honestly, I cannot believe that we've let Phil Spencer or anybody in the higher-ups continue to do the crap that they do. Because honestly, at this point, I'm of the belief that all of this is just fluff. Because just, to me, just say that you're going to rely on AI to take over these jobs and just be done with it. Because I'm tired, boss. I'm tired of the corporation speak. I'm tired of the business talk. I want fundamental aspects of Xbox to improve. How are we supposed to trust whatever you have to say when you've given us nothing as of late? How, Phil? How? And no, using a handheld or creating a handheld with the ROG Ally, even though it's really just a ROG Ally slapped with an Xbox logo on it, isn't really going to help anything. At all. Oh, and they also talk about how Xbox has more than 40 projects in active development still. Sources close to the situation has told Variety that every game featured at the Xbox Game Showcase presentation in June is continuing on. Yeah, if you'll notice a trend, there are a couple of games that are not on there. Yeah, we're never getting Fable. And I think that the thing that pisses me off the most is that Xbox is in no, and I mean no, position to be pulling shit like this. The amount of content that they put out for their services and the amount of games that they put out is beyond miserable for a company of their size, stature, and scope. The amount of times that they have continuously just jumped through hoops and made excuses for why they continue to fumble in terms of game output as well as hardware output, just making their experiences any way better, is pathetic. And the fact that they're continuously doing this to their consumers and as well as their employees is just absolutely frustrating. Honestly, I think the tweet that Chris Avalon put out is that kind of just sums it up the best. Sending good thoughts to those affected by the bizarre Microsoft layoffs and hope you find new jobs soon. As for mouthpieces like Jez Corden and Klobrille that thrive like remoras on the underbelly of Xbox news, you two can fuck right off, you pathetic shills. For the record, and as a showcase of their integrity, both were staunch supporters of various Xbox titles that were clearly in trouble, but then did everything they could to spin and bury any trace of bad news. One example, Avowed. Just tell the truth, being a mouthpiece won't save you when the rest of the body dies. And that's just what it kind of boils down to. How often do we have to just constantly give these people the benefit of the doubt? How often do we have to constantly lie to ourselves that think that maybe things will get better when clearly they're not, when the same people are constantly up there and still have a job? How do we constantly give these people any time of day when they continue to do shit like this? And honestly, it just makes me scared for any more development studios down the line, because trust me, I still haven't forgotten what you did about Hi-Fi Rush, Xbox. Many of us have failed to forget what your fucking company did. And eat shit if you defend this in any way, shape, or form, or are using this to console war in any given time. Because while yes, this is a byproduct of the gaming industry as a whole right now, but when you're a multi-trillion-dollar company that allegedly more than likely makes $80 million a year or so, which is more than enough to really cover the employees that you guys pay and are supposed to take care of, excuses are the things that are used to wipe your ass. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm tired of giving these people any sort of shred of decency because they just take advantage of it. It's all bullshit. I have no hope for this company anymore unless if it's completely either restructured or management is taken out entirely. That means all three of these stooges here, Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Sarah Bond. They have contributed next to nothing for this industry, aside from maybe Game Pass. Phil was barely an improvement from Don Matrick, but that's just because the bar is all the way down in the 10th circle of hell. Yeah, that's honestly, that's all I have to say. Honestly, the only thing I really can say is just, at this point, I kind of just don't care. I'm like that one parent that's just like, I'm not mad, I'm disappointed. I think that's the best way to describe it, because this just confirms to me that nothing will get better unless if the people at the top are either held accountable for it or just removed entirely. And Xbox just continues to be another byproduct of that. And honestly, that kind of just seems to be like the core problem with the gaming industry as a whole. I recently had a conversation with a couple of close friends of mine talking about exactly the best way I can describe each of the big three's biggest flaws. And I figured I'd share them here just to kind of finish things up. The best way I can describe it is this, is that Sony is the complacent one. They are the ones that are lazy and are completely complacent in doing whatever they want to do and think that putting out the exact same thing over and over is just going to keep making them successful when it's clearly not. At least just from my point of view. And Nintendo is the bully. They're the ones that continuously go against their customers, go against people that are either trying to do something better than them or are trying just to emulate the games that they want to do. And Xbox, to me, they're a leech. They're a leech off of other people's success. That's why they got guaranteed. That's why they got Activision Blizzard. Is that way they can coat off of Call of Duty's success, and that they think they did something about it. They didn't. They just bought it and felt like that they actually encouraged something about it. And honestly, the biggest thing that's been killing them is just their hands-off approach to their studios. You mean to tell me that for 7 years that they've done nothing in terms of the initiative and getting anything regarding Perfect Dark off the ground? You're telling me that no other game at the Xbox showcase has any chance of actually being alive? So then what's going to happen to Fable? What's going to happen to any of the other games that are coming out? Blade, we're concerned about that, considering they seem to be in development hell with the movies too. So, like, the only question really that I have now is just, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? That's literally all I have to say, I think. That's the biggest question I have, is just, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to help not only your employees, but also your customers? Because at this point, there's just no real reason to get an Xbox anymore. There's no reason to invest in their ecosystem when they just don't care about their employees. They don't care about you. They just don't care about... At this point, they just don't care about games anymore. They don't care about achieving great success. They really just sustain it for as long as possible and think that Game Pass is going to be their true survivor about all of this. And just how often are you going to be able to sustain that? At what point do you just get sick of it? At what point do you just... Are you just fed up? Because that's how I feel. I'm just fed up. That's it. That's really all it. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Honestly, if you were expecting a bigger rant, I'm apologize. That's just not how I am going to be today. I'm more apathetic. It's all just business as usual, I guess. So, yeah. Yeah, that's the end of the video. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah. Have a good night. Yeah. Bye.